So welcome everyone to the meeting, those that are online and to the people in the gallery today. We will start our meeting. We'll start with the affirmation, so if we can all just stand with the affirmation, and Councillor Justine Hyde will read the affirmation.
We recognise the traditional owners of the land. We are inspired by the earlier pioneers and those who gave us their lives for our country. We now ask God's blessing on our deliberations and on our commitment to build a better lifestyle and environment.
Okay, so this council is being recorded and live streamed to Council's YouTube channel. The recording will also be made available on Council's website. Whilst all care has been taken to ensure that your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. So we have number one, apologies and leave of absence. We have an approved leave of absence from Councillor Jenny Greenberger. Are there any other apologies? No. So number two, confirmation of minutes. There's a recommendation there, so just need someone to move that.
I'm happy to move that. Recommend that the minutes as listed, copies which have been circulated, be confirmed and adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Somebody to second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Probes. So, just a show of hands, are we in favour? Okay, are there any matters arising from the minutes? No matters arising. There's no presentations or awards. There's no presentation of petitions and joint letters. So item 6, disclosure of a conflict of interest at a council meeting. So does anyone have a conflict of interest which they need to declare? There's no conflict of interests. So item 7, informal meetings of councillors. So we have a report and a resolution with that. If somebody is able to move that report.
I'll move that.
Thank you, Councillor Probes. Someone to second?
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger.
Sorry.
Councillor Hyde. Maybe say that. Okay, I'll just show of hands. All those in favour? Okay, that is carried. So do we have any items brought forward? No items brought forward. So item 9, considerations of reports of officers. 9.1.1, community engagement policy. So we have a report there and a resolution and a recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to move that Council adopts the revised community engagement policy.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Does somebody second that report?
I will second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. Councillor Emerson, would you like to address the Council on the motion?
Thank you.
Councillor Emerson?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Section 55 of the Local Government Act requires Council to adopt and maintain a community engagement policy. We've made a few changes to the policy this year. Just in précis, we've updated our purpose. We've expanded sections outlining methods of community engagement. New section outlining who Council will engage with. There's quite a few other minor alterations, which new section on informing the community of engagement engagement outcomes. New definition section and a few others. It's just a administrative policy that we have to review every now and again, and this year we've done it with fairly minor changes.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Councillor Blake, did you wish to speak?
No, I think Councillor Emerson summed it up nicely. Thank you.
Okay, any councillor wish to speak for or against the motion?
No, I thought one of the good things that they've added to the policy is highlighting the diversity in our community and recognising that people do have barriers to engage in, whether it's age, gender, technology, so the policy reflects that a little bit more, so I think that's a good move.
So, Councillor Empson, you have the right of reply. Would you like to choose some if no other councillor wishes to speak?
Nothing further to add, thanks.
Okay, so a call for those in favour to raise their hands. Okay, so that's carried. Okay, 9.3, providing sustainable infrastructure. 9.3.1, building control service review. So again, we have a report, and we've had a bit of discussion about this particular report, and we have a recommendation there.
I would like to recommend that the council ceases issuing building permits effectively from the 1st of July 2025, subject to an exemption being granted by the Minister of Planning, exempting the municipal building surveyor from the obligation to consider applications for both building permits in accordance with section 216A of the Building Act 1993.
Okay, can I have a seconder?
Yes, I will second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. So, Councillor Hyde, would you like to address the council on the motion?
So, this has been presented to us and explained in depth, and we've taken serious consideration to this with the information provided to us. So, the Council's Building Services team performs critical statutory functions under the Building Act of 1993, ensuring safe, compliant development in our municipality. However, a strategic review has found that the current service model is no longer financially sustainable or aligned with the community demand. So there were some key findings there. Permit activity has declined significantly, and Council's permit role is largely limited to small-scale structures such as sheds, and resourcing must shift to reflect the reduced permit volumes and maintain the compliance and deliver value for money outcomes. So 2 service delivery models have been proposed to be developed: reduction of resources and permit administration exemption savings. So, thank you.
Councillor Blake, did you have anything to add?
I think Councillor Hyde summed it up nicely. Thank you.
So, any councillor wish to speak for or against the motion?
I will. I'll be speaking for the motion, but I've actually really struggled with this one a lot. It's basically a financial decision. At the moment, it's costing us over $400,000 a year to issue building permits. And most of the building permits we do are for smaller sheds and garages, which are of a lower value. The majority of our permits are applied for through private building surveyors. What we're planning is that we won't issue the building permits anymore, provided the Minister approves that exemption. It'll bring our cost down to $150,000 a year instead of $420,000, so we're saving a lot of money. My concern is that it's, the easier garages and sheds that people are now going to have to see their building surveyor for. But we also have an issue with staffing. The municipal building surveyor, we don't have one at the moment. We have to contract out. So the saving of our, $200,000+ a year, I think can probably be better used towards, it will free us up better to put some of the council plan services into effect, because there are building surveyors who can do the permit work for people. It's sad that we have to reduce services, but I think the cost saving will help us provide other services that may not be readily available through the private sector.
Thank you, Councillor Probes. So, anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Okay, so I'll call for those in favour to raise their hands. Okay, so that is carried. So 9.4, improve organisational effectiveness, and we have 9.4.1, financial hardship policy.
I move that the council approves the financial hardship policy.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde.
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson.
The financial hardship policy provides avenues for ratepayers experiencing financial hardship to gather support from council regarding their rate debts. There are no changes proposed to the policy. The policy can only be applied in serious circumstances where the ratepayer cannot afford the necessities of life for themselves or their dependents, and where the circumstances involving the inability of ratepayer to meet their financial obligations rather than the unwillingness to do so. So from our understanding, they are minor changes to the financial hardship policy.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Councillor Emerson.
Yeah, thank you. Just quickly, it's a good policy. It allows council to have some discretion in regard to dealing with people who can't pay their rates, and I recommend the policy.
Is there any other councillor wish to speak for or against the motion? Okay, a very important policy. So I just have a show of hands. So those that are in favour of the policy? Okay, so that is carried. So 9.4.2, investment policy. We have a recommendation there.
I move that the council approves the investment policy.
Thank you, Councillor Probes.
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Councillor Probes, do you wish to address the council on the motion?
It's not a big change to our investment policy, mainly an update to various dates, and it maintains the conservative investments that we have to make, which we're governed by the Local Government Act anyway.
Councillor Emerson.
And nothing further for me, thanks.
Okay, any councillors wish to speak for or against the motion? Call for those in favour to raise their hands. Okay, so that's carried. So 9.4.3, quarterly financial report. We have a recommendation there.
I recommend that the council notes that the financial report for the third quarter ended 31st of March 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Somebody to second that motion?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. Councillor Hyde, did you wish to address the council on the motion?
Nothing further to add. It's pretty. We've gone through it. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm happy to recommend that we move the quarterly ending on 31st of March 2025.
Councillor Blake, did you wish to speak?
No, that's fantastic. Thank you.
So, any councillor wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Hyde, did you wish to sum up?
No, nothing further to add. Thank you.
Call for those in favour to raise their hands. Okay, so that is carried. So 9.4.4, council expenses policy.
Like to formally adopt the council's expense policy.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Somebody to second the recommendation?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Probes. Councillor Hyde, did you wish to address the council on the motion?
We've been through the policy and there has been some few minor changes just to make it more current and updated, and quite minor, and wish to move that we adopt this council expense policy.
Councillor Probes, did you wish to address council?
Just one of the main changes was to the mandatory training that councillors have to do now. So now that it's mandatory, the expense policy sort of covers the group training that we're doing rather than ad hoc individual ones that might have been done in the past.
Okay, so any councillor wish to speak for or against the motion?
Yeah, thank you. I'll be
Councillor
speaking for the motion, but just like to mention that it's good to see that council has some fiscal responsibilities and tightened up some of the inadequacies within the policy.
So, Councillor Hyde, would you like to sum up?
Nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay, so a call for those in favour to raise their hands. Okay, so that's carried. So we go to item 10, notice of motion of rescission, or notice of motion or rescission. So a notice of motion was lodged by Councillor Hyde on Tuesday the 15th April 2025 in accordance with section 43 of Council's governance rules. The notice of motion was received and approved by the Chief Executive Officer to be included on the 5th of May 2025 Council meeting agenda. So there is a proposal and a recommendation, and just asking if somebody would like to move that recommendation.
So I would like to move that the council resolves to send a letter to the Victorian State Government Minister of Health requesting the introduction of fluoride into our water supplies for Stawell and St Arnaud as an important measure to significantly improve the oral health of those communities, and funding be allocated to put in place the water fluoridation for Stawell and St Arnaud.
Okay, do we have someone to second that motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. So, Councillor Hyde, did you wish to speak to the motion?
Thank you. Now, the community water fluoridation helps protect teeth against decay. While 99% of people in our cities, in Melbourne, metropolitan, have access to fluoride water, only 88% of people in our rural and regional areas have access. Fluoride is naturally occurring in minerals found in rock, air, soil, plants and water. And water fluoridation is the process of adjusting the amount of fluoride in drinking water to the optimum level to reduce tooth decay. Areas in Victoria, such as Portland, are lucky to have naturally occurring fluoride in their water. Our surrounding neighbourhood shires, such as Ararat and Horsham, for example, already have implemented fluoride into their town water. And unfortunately, our community to date has not been given the same benefits. So community fluoride is safe. It's an equitable and cost-effective way to prevent tooth decay while reaching most people in our community. Access to fluoride water can reduce tooth decay from 26 to 44% in children and adolescents and up to 27% in adults. We had recent community engagement and undertaken as part of our council plan development, and involving 336 respondents, it showed very strong support for prioritising oral health in the upcoming council plan, with an average rating of 4.1 out of 5 in this preference. This indicates that most participants either agree or strongly agree that oral health should be on council's focus. This positive sentiment provides a strong foundation for advocating evidence-based public health measures such as community water fluoridisation as a practical and effective way to improve oral health outcomes across the municipality. However, it is not the only answer for our oral health prevention and promotion, and Council recognises this and will continue to work in this area, especially during the Municipal Health and Wellbeing Plan of 2025-2029. Council also received recently a presentation from Dental Health Services Victoria and our own East Grampians Health. The strong early engagement feedback from the community and statistical evidence in favour for the past 75 years, all indicating the need and benefit for fluoride in the water. Because of this reason, I feel strongly that we need to be acting on this now, knowing that our children in the Northern Grampians Shire have poorer dental health compared to the state average. And from a period of time in my own life of being a dental nurse, I have a passion in this area, so I recommend that we put forward this notice of motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Emerson.
Thank you. Just quickly, any motion that affects the health and well-being of our community is a good motion, and I would encourage council to support it.
Okay, so any councillors wish to add? Do they for or against the motion? Wish to speak to the motion? No, I think the motion speaks for itself. A very important motion, and there's been lots of conversations about this previously. So I think it's all in the timing. So thank you for bringing this notice of motion forward. So, Councillor Hall, would you like to sum up?
I just feel that after seeing all the evidence and hearing from all the experts and our many lengthy discussions, that by doing this particular way, we can potentially even speed up the process instead of waiting for our council plan to be adopted in October. Hence the decision to do it in this process and format. Thank you.
Okay, so a call for those in favour to raise their hands. Carried. Right, so now we'll go from reports from councillors and committees, and there are two committees' reports as attachments. So I'll go around the councillors and just ask if they would like to give their reports, and I might start with Councillor Emerson.
Thank you. No reports from me this time. Thanks.
Councillor Probst.
Just a few things this month. There was the North Central LEN, their meeting, they're reviewing the direction that they take. Oh, thank you, sorry. Okay, North Central LEN are reviewing their direction. Only 20% of their funding actually comes from the Victorian Government for the LEN services. So they're having a review. They provide a broader range of services, so they're looking at what they're doing, still focused definitely on children and young people. But yeah, so that was quite interesting on how they're focusing there. We all had a busy day at Anzac Day, meeting with the Wallaloo farmers, and alliance discussions were interesting. Drought funding. We've had a couple of people raise issues about the drought funding and why other shires have been included in the funding but Northern Grampians haven't. So Department of Ag, we've had a meeting with them and they've explained their process now. You've got to have 2 bad seasons first, but they also like to listen to people's stories. So we've invited the Department of Ag person to come up to our area and actually meet with farmers to hear the stories and how the season's affecting them. So hopefully we get some sort of time organised sooner rather than later. But if you're a farmer and you have a story to tell, contact one of us and we can pass your details on. It's actually quite a busy week this week. The regular catch-up I have with the CEO, we went out to O'Connor's and Hendy's and have a look at how they operate, the number of people they employ and what's involved in their businesses, which is always interesting. We had the opening for the new kinder last week, and that's a very exciting thing for St Arnaud. I know there was a lot of controversy about where it was placed, not about whether to have it, just where it was placed. And I know when we went up there and looked at it earlier before the children were there, I thought, gee, this is really peaceful here. Yeah, you walk out of the kinder building onto the veranda, onto the play area, it's all on the same level. There's lovely gum trees in the background, and I did think it probably won't be quite so peaceful when the children get in. But at the opening last week, with 2 kinder groups there, it was still really peaceful. Obviously noise of some children chattering around, but they really seemed to enjoy it. And for a kinder, it was actually a really peaceful, serene environment. So it's really nice to see that up and operating. And then this last weekend, it actually reminds me how lucky, how privileged we are to live in our local rural communities. Like this weekend, I think I went somewhere Friday night, but I can't remember. But Saturday, we had the opening of a Raku pottery exhibition at the Raillery Hub. Sunday was Band Sunday, so there were 7, I think, bands from the Wimmera area all playing, and it was really lovely to see the Stall Brass Band and to meet some people from Stall without having to travel 2 hours to do it. And hearing the 7 bands play together at the end, like that big brass sound was just amazing. And to be able to hear that in our local communities, walking 500 metres from home without having to travel, park, pay massive amounts to get in, I think we are really lucky, and sometimes we don't recognise, you know, the benefits we have of living in our country towns. And also Sunday I went out to the Swanwater West Cemetery because they had received grant funding, about $5,000 from the council previously, to put up a board that shows the history, the people who have been buried there. And it was really quite interesting to be out there and hear a bit of the history, walk around some of the graves, hear some of the sad stories of children who had died young. And again, we've got to be really thankful for our volunteers that put in so much time and effort to keep those things going. So, thank you.
Nice report, well said. Councillor Hine.
Thank you. Well, April has been another busy month for everyone. I'm just going to sum up just on a couple of the points. The 1st of April, I travelled to Charlton with Councillor Greenberger as we attended the VNI West Community Reference Group meeting, which I've done since I've been on the council, along with the fortnightly online meetings with many stakeholders that our CEO here has commenced prior to our time, going back probably 2 years now. Is that correct?
Yes,
2
2 years.
2 years. In the hope to have a greater voice to the state government and to these private companies, we did form an alliance with Loddon, Gunawarra, Yarriambiack and Bloke, and of course us being the 5th Shire. It was formed and we had 2 online meetings to discuss shared values. However, this has since resulted in the Northern Grampians Shire pulling out of this alliance. We, the Northern Grampians Shire, continue to represent our community the best we can with the limited authority at the moment that stands with us. So moving forward, just wanted the community to know that we did put out a press release statement regarding this, and it is a space that is ongoing and continuing, and that behind the scenes we are continuously working on this. And within a very short period of time on the Northern Grampians Shire website, we will have an information page relating to transmission lines and renewable to help provide more regular updates to our community members, to be more transparent and to help you be more informed. And this will be up and running, and as soon as it is, we will notify you through our social media as well. Although that is a very important issue and topic that we are continuing to work on, it is just one of the very many things that are taking up the space and important areas that we focus on. So here's a couple more that are also important. That I attended the Great Western Futures Committee meeting, and there was a lot of takeaways for me in regards to important topics that are relevant to them, including the traffic management around the new community rec facility, also in regards to some maintenance issues in park areas and future concerns in regarding future plans with regards to the town and tourism. Or I have been working with the council, or been providing this feedback for them to work on this so we can get back to our Great Western Futures Committee in a timely manner with their answers. Also, this leads me to the community feedback for our council plan. This was one of the topics that the Great Western Futures Committee have already raised with myself directly, and so have some members of the Halls Gap community. And if you haven't already seen on our social media pages, or if you've jumped onto the Northern Grampians Shire website, there is some feedback there from the council plan that you can have a look at and read through what's relevant to yourself. So it's been summarised and made available. Of course, I attended some Anzac services, the first one being in Halls Gap in my immediate community with my two boys who I asked to join me, and they really wanted to come because they are studying at school, and they helped lay a reef with me, which was really special. I then was also blessed to go out to Great Western and Stawell to join the community there for their services. And of course, the bushfire recovery continues. So in Halls Gap, there are weekly meetings being held, and under the auspice of the kitchen cabinet, which I try my best to attend every week. And if you are interested as a member of the community, you are welcome every Thursday to attend at 9 a.m. and be a part of the discussions on the way forward in the bushfire recovery space. We also had just recently a great forum in the town hall there, where we had a facilitator from the Happy Changemakers host about 70 locals, and of course some of the Northern Grampians Shire staff and CEO and myself were there as observers, and taking part in the community conversations and feedback. And we look forward to continuously working and moving forward with our community out there in that space as well. Lots of other stuff, of course, but I'll just sum it up at those items.
You've been very busy. Thank you, Councillor Hine. Councillor Blake?
Yes, it's, if there's any time left today, I want to thank the public for turning up today, and I'm probably covering a lot of ground that other people have already said about the Stawell Gift and Anzac Day, and mostly about me doing volunteer work. There's a lot of talk that I'm not involved or committed into this council, but I assure you I am 100% committed. And the Great Escape on the weekend was fantastic. We did actually have a meeting with the landowners at Wallaloo the other day to give them some comfort in letting them know that we are supporting them, as we do support all groups, but as they would know and other groups would know, that we can support them as much as we want, but some things are just out of our control. The drought relief package, we're trying to get them more involved so we can work out where we're going with the drought relief. And I went down and volunteered at the Great Western Footy the other day. Turns out that I've signed up to be a member of the Great Western Football Club, which is pretty exciting. I've never been a member of the football club for a long, long time. Still ag market, that went without a hitch yesterday. But other than that, I'll just go and get some clothes that'll fit myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. And as you can see, we've all been extremely busy over the past month. There's been a lot on. I won't double up I'll just try and highlight a few things that I've sort of done that other councillors haven't attended. So I was lucky to attend Grampians House Stall, the opening of the 2 new theatres, and just amazing. The whole, the way it works, the way it flows, it's really state of the art. And they're sort of saying they've had a lot of interest in surgeons coming to Stall because of the facility and it's being so new and up to date, and like a lot of people when they come to Stall and have day surgery often go up the street and do some shopping or having a look around, the people that come up there with them. So hopefully when the theatre gets up and running and is full capacity, the main street in Stall will see some flow-on effects from that as well. Also met up with the Wimmera CEOs and mayors in Horsham, which was a really good day, a good networking, a lot of chatting. We discussed a lot of important things that were obviously happening in the Wimmera. Really good conversations. I enjoyed it. I sat back with a couple of mayors afterwards. It's nice to hear their stories and for me to say my story, and hopefully somewhere down the track we can we'll definitely touch base again with this group, but work together with a few projects. I think it would be really important if mayors and CEOs did to work together for everything that promotes the Wimmera. I think it's very important. The Stall gift, I know it's been spoken about quite a lot, but what a Stall gift it was this year. It was absolutely fabulous, and thank you to all the people that organised it and all the work that went into making it such a special occasion. Great weather, a few people that came up to the Stall gift councillors hadn't been there before, and I think they were quite impressed with with the whole setup and the way that it runs. So yeah, it was just a fabulous, fabulous weekend, and fabulous weekend all around the region from what I'm hearing. Rodeo had record crowds, not that I went to Rodeo, my daughter did. She said it was just a really good event, and out at Halls Gap the crowd was good, record crowds out there as well, so all around the area it was a great Easter. Also went to Anzac Day services. Great to see good crowds at the events that we went to. Had a gunfire breakfast, so thank you to the Stall Tennis Club for organising that, and it was felt very spoilt having an early breakfast of bacon and eggs, which was lovely. The Grampians Grape Escape this year, once again, a fabulous event. So there's a bit of a lead up to the Grampians Grape Escape. Grampians Wimmera Mallee had a tourism industry forum on the Friday before the Grampians Grape Escape, which was again well attended. They had some really good guest speakers, really inspiring guest speakers, and it was a fabulous event, good networking, got to meet a lot of other councillors around the region and a lot of tourism people, and it's always good when you can all talk together for the same reason, to promote tourism to our beautiful region. So it was a really, really good, well-attended event, and then that sort of went into the Feel Good Friday, which was, didn't stay that long, got a little bit cold, but 900 tickets for the Friday they'd sold, so it was looked like it was going to be a really big night. The Saturday and Sunday, I went on the Saturday to the Grampians Grape Escape. The crowd was amazing. They don't know the exact number, but they're saying the ticket sales were well up from last year, which was fabulous. And from what I can gather, Sunday was a bit of a locals day from what I saw on Facebook. And once again, the crowds are really good again. And look, these events are so important to our region. They bring a lot of people to our region. They spend, they have fun, they enjoy, and hopefully they come back. So it's been a lot happening around the region in the last month, but all very positive. Right, so I'll just... Sort of missed someone. We're one councillor down. I know it feels a bit short, doesn't it? Okay, so just a resolution that the reports be received.
I'll move that the reports be received.
Thank you, Councillor Probst. Someone to second it?
I will second it.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. Just a show of hands. That's carried. There's no urgent business. So we'll go into public question time. And we have 2 public questions. And we have a question with notice and a question without notice. So the question with notice, Rod Hudson. So I'll just start with you and I'll get you to just to come up. So, and you know the rules. Question time shall not exceed 15 minutes, a maximum 3 questions at any one time. Yeah, you know the rules, so I'll let you ask your questions.
Thank you, Mayor Hislop, and yeah, I'm learning the rules or having them reinforced as you remind me to summarise things. Just first of all, I thank the councillors that have taken the time to make a report, and particularly those that have really extended themselves. I think we need to remember this is a public forum and this is an opportunity to communicate and engage with the public, whether they're here in person, whether they're watching live, or they might, as some do, watch a recorded session. So thank you to those that have gone to the trouble of reporting today. And for once, I can say I'm following a hard act, Councillor Blake, in terms of those that have gone before. My first question is relating to graffiti around St Arnaud. Look, over 18 months ago, I met a person late at night who was wearing a backpack, and I said to that person, "What are you doing? You're not graffitiing, are you?" And they said, "No, not actually, but I am blacking out graffiti that's around here." Now, that related to things on shop sides, signs in the drain. Since then, it appears that person's stopped doing that or has left town, and there are quite a few pieces of graffiti around public areas that have been there for a long time. And I was just wondering, with my first question, what is the council's standards and procedures for identifying and removing graffiti from public assets it owns, maintains or appears elsewhere throughout St Arnaud?
I'll get Trenton Pithold, our Director, to answer that question.
Yes, happy to. Hi, Ross.
G'day, Trenton. How are you?
Yeah, good. So Council has no formal procedures of managing graffiti other than those required around a H&S managing chemicals, etc. If and when graffiti is reported to Council, the management of it is relied upon by the officer discretion, weighing up visibility, location, offensiveness, and resource availability. Not every instance of graffiti is removed from Council assets.
Okay.
Thank you. For obvious reasons, graffiti is detrimental to the presentation of public spaces. I appreciate what you're saying about an OH&S consideration amongst it. My follow-up question was, why are there so many pieces of graffiti in St Arnaud, whether on park tables in Queen Mary Gardens, roadside safety barriers and signs, fences and structures such as the stadium on Navarre Road, and the drain wall through Queen Mary Gardens behind the St Arnaud Lawn Bowls Club, or near King George's Park along the fence line, that have been present for over 12 months and more when council staff are working in or transiting through these areas daily. So I suppose it's a follow-up in the sense that it's not just public reporting that needs to perhaps bring this to council's attention.
Yep, Trenton Pithold will answer that question.
Just just a side note, the stadium isn't a council asset, but anyway, that's a whole other thing. Any targeted removal of graffiti in St Arnaud or any area within council's control is reliant on availability, on available time and priority. Council can always improve upon its processes and its management, but ultimately we work within that constrained budgetary environment, and not everything we want to achieve is achieved. Officers are very proud of what they provide and what they produce for the community, but ultimately our reality is that we try and do our best within the resources that we have, and the community's ability to pay as well.
I realise that under the rules I'm not allowed to debate or engage too much further in that, so I'll follow it up another time. Thank you. My third question related to the family violence initiative that Northern Grampians Shire has undertaken, and particularly the work I suppose it generates through its family violence prevention officer. At a previous council meeting I asked regarding who funded and how much was funded for the work of the Family Prevention Officer, and CEO McAllister was good enough to sign off a letter that I think Director Williams had supplied the answer for, which was indicating that there was about $270,000 over 3 years from various other government institutions or agencies that were provided to Northern Grampians Shire for family violence prevention plan. That'd be a fair summary to implement that, and the council wasn't required, or it appeared hadn't co-funded that or added to the funding. So I see that ends at the end of this financial year, that 3-year plan. So we've had sort of perhaps $90,000 a year. So whilst, as I've been wearing my bracelet since I went to Simone O'Brien's talk that the council organised in November last year, and I'm aware we do the family walk against violence, but I was interested with my third question to find out, as I've written, what has Northern Grampians Shire Council actually undertaken since it coordinated community walks against family violence in November 2024 that met its obligation under the National 16 Days of Activism Against Family Violence initiative to continue the education, awareness raising and improvements within St Arnaud specifically and elsewhere in the Shire that addresses this important area of resident and community wellbeing and is a responsibility of council as acknowledged on its website. And how effective has it been and how has that been measured?
Heather Vaughan-Williams, our Director, will answer that question.
Yeah, so in answer to the first part, since November, Council has promoted a council-wide exhibition depicting women who are admired and why. There was 280 entries to that, and there was 85 people that subsequently attended the exhibition itself. There was an International Women's Day event organised both in Stawell and St Arnaud to showcase the achievement of local women, which had 100 people attend. There was established a regular support for victim survivors. Also, there's been a process to support victim survivors to access Orange Door in St Arnaud and raising awareness of that facility within the St Arnaud community. There was also promotion of domestic violence phone initiative with a collection of boxes at both of our town halls and at East Wimmera Health Service. Information posters were also put into various different public toilets around the Shire, which highlight the various different family violence and helplines which are available. The emergency resource centres were provided with family violence prevention information and staff received training. Staying Safe Online tip sheet had been developed for the community. Lighting up monuments, Are You Safe at Home Day will take place in May, that's coming up. And training has been provided for various frontline staff at Northern Grampians Shire, including our sporting facility in Stawell, both libraries and the customer service centres and the community care teams. About 50 staff were involved in that in particular. In relation to the second component of your question, which was how do we measure success? Well, we sort of track how many people attend as a sort of a measurement of how much exposure we're getting. The other thing, because a lot of it's about education and awareness, it's a fairly intangible thing to see what impact that can roll through. But the intention is to try and get the message out there to promote what options people have about family violence, also to educate people who might be in a position where they're nearby a person who might be experiencing that, to give them options as to what they can do. But it is very hard to measure, quantify that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you for your answer, Director Williams. I appreciate the detail in that, and thank whoever's prepared it, Sandy herself. Yeah. And I'll follow some things up with it. And I look forward to finally, whenever we're going to publicise what's happening in May. That sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so Anne, you'd like to speak to your question?
question. I have only one question. I'm sorry to disappoint you all, and it's very short. Regarding planning application 2025008 at 99 Tawny Road, Karapui West, the Wild Horses Festival. And I think my question will go straight to Trenton, unless he's changed departments. My question is, have there been any changes to the application, either from the proponent or from the planning department, since it was sent to neighbours and stakeholders 2 days before Easter?
Okay, so Director Trenton Peterhall will be able to answer that question.
Yes, even shorter response, Anne, no, is the answer. There's been no formal changes to the application. Depending on the nature of objections, there may be an opportunity for mediation towards the end, and then that is when the objector and the applicant can potentially change things within that application if they wish.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So now going to item 14, closure of meeting pursuant to section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020. A council or delegated committee may resolve that the meeting be closed to members of the public if it considers it necessary because the circumstances specified below apply. The circumstances are the meeting is to consider confidential information, and so we have a recommendation as we're going to go into meeting to consider confidential information.
I move that we go into closed meeting to consider the items listed under section 66 of the Local Government Act 2020 as it deals with confidential information detailed in section 3.1 of the Local Government Act 2020.
Okay, have somebody second that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Prose. So just a show of hands. Okay, that's carried. So I'll just now we'll go into closed council. So I just have to ask the gallery to leave. You can return once the meeting of closed meeting is dealt with, if you wish to do so.
Rightio, thank you, Mayor. Pleased to report the outcomes of the items in the closed council agenda. 14.1, Council awards C25-002, processing of food and organic waste to Van Shokes, BioGrow Pty Limited, BioGrow Pty Limited for their submitted rates. And 14.2, that Council denies the subject application of the rate waiver for 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you. So there be no further business. I now declare that the meeting is closed at 1:32 p.m.